Hey guys, what's going on? TriggerhappyJon coming at you with another Summoner's Glory video. Guys, today we're going to be going on to a more in-depth look on runes and kind of what runes you really want to prioritize getting in the game. Now, this is going to be a very long and series of videos, so I am going to kind of limit these to about 10 to 15 minutes each. And we're going to kind of just go over like highs and lows, pick some runes here and there and talk about today's video, guys. We're going to be going over what are the most common runes used and what are the most sought after, and kind of like what kind of stats you're kind of going to be looking on them for. One other thing we're going to possibly touch on is possibly, like how to do a little bit of a stat cleanse. But I will be doing a more in-depth guide on that. I'm actually currently farming a bunch of runes so that way I can open them at once. And then we'll do one video that will just really compile and kind of show you guys the best way to go ahead and filter through your stats and say, okay, this is what I'm going to keep, this is what I'm not going to keep, so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's kind of get into what we're going to be talking about today. So as you can see, I do have an infographic up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen here. This is going to just a very quick glance. I did have another video come out that was a basic runes video. You can refer back to that one and kind of see more of what these stats are, what you're prioritizing, and the substats, what they mean. But we're just going to cover it real quick. As you can see here, the far right rune is speed, magic defense, crit rate, accuracy, HP, and as in the upper left-hand location. Those are the general base stats that are going to be in the rune slots. So that's kind of important because there's kind of a little system that I like to do, and we'll kind of talk more about that here in just a few minutes. All right, so we put the infographic away. As you can see here, I do have my Sea Conqueror up showing right now. The reason why I'm kind of showcasing her is because we have the new runes on her. We just had a tournament event. It was a little glitched, so things happened that necessarily shouldn't have happened, and I end up requiring a lot more of these runes than I was really supposed to. The devs are going to be fixing this, but I did want to get this video kind of recorded while I had them, so I kind of explain to you my thought process on it and why I went ahead and upgraded some of these to get them ready for Sea Conqueror. Now, as you can see here, the rune I clicked on, it is a physical attack. It is in the upper right-hand corner, so that is why it's a physical attack, or it could be a magic attack rune. Now, you'll notice it's percentage-based. You always want to have percentage-based. Never keep the flat stats. Throw them away. I know a lot of people will tell you otherwise for certain phantoms that it doesn't matter. They don't scale. But if you ever change that rune out, it's useless. So it doesn't matter even if it rolls good speed, guys. Get rid of it. You don't want flat stats in the game. Just end of story. So right here you can see this is a pretty good rune. But what we really want to discuss here is kind of go over what the rune does. So for the two-piece set, it'll give you increased physical attack and magic attack by 15%. Also increased crit rate by 12%. So that's really, really good. So this is going to be a very sought after rune just to begin with. Now, if you get a 4 set, you can do when dealing damage to an enemy, 20% chance to freeze the target for 1 turn. That's awesome for your great fast CC type phantom. So, if you wanted to put it on like AoEs, like Lord of Shadows, Zeus is A1 is a AoE. Different phantoms like that do AoE phantoms, you're going to want a 4-piece set so that we can just get that extra CC, as well as the 2-piece set is going to give you that crit rate bonus along with the extra attack damage. So speaking of crit rate for a 2-piece bonus, the next rune we're going to go over, guys, is Harvest. Now this is another very sought after rune, and that is because it has a 2-piece set that is, once again, increased crit rate by 12%. 4-piece set, increased speed by 10%. Now, when it says increased speed by 10%, guys, that doesn't mean your overall total speed with your other stats rolled into it. It's 10% of your phantom's base speed. So each 4-set harvest is going to give you a different modifier to your speed. So keep that in mind when you're grabbing these runes. If you're putting it on a very slow phantom to begin with, you're not going to see as much of a speed increase as you really think you're going to get. So bear in mind that before you make a plan of going with all 4 harvest. Little side note, little side caveat. I have my Sea Conqueror and a 4-set of harvest because she is my initiator, which essentially means that she's going to do all the battle meter manipulation for me, as well as the battle meter boosting for my phantom squad. So that is why you really want to have her in a 4-set of harvest. She's also very fast. Another prime phantom for a full set of harvest is going to be Dracula Eye. He's super fast. He also manipulates the battle meter. You're going to probably want a 4 set of harvest on him as well. All right, so the next set that we're going to go over is the Squall set. So as you can see here, I do have my Secret Dancer in a 4 set of Squall. The reason why is because when you have 4 Squall runes on a phantom, you get an additional 25% increased critical damage, as well as when you only have the 2, you get the 15% additional crit damage. So that means total, you're getting 40% additional crit damage for having a 4-piece set. This is why Squall is by far the best DPS rune in the game. I would rank Squall probably as priority number 1 for more like in-game players. And most of the mid-game players and beginning game players, it doesn't matter so much. It's not that big of a deal, but it is nice to have even just a 2 set, kind of starting and moving on, because you're going to want, like, for example, there's other rune sets that are going to be more beneficial for you in the middle game that we're going to cover here in just a second. All right, so like I said, we're going to cover the other runes that's more mid-game here, and that's going to be the Oppression set. Now, this was a very, very meta rune right from the get-go when the game first came out. It's slowly dropping down from the meta, but it's still an amazing rune to get. I feel like you do get a pretty good amount of Oppression runes. And you're farming Harvest and the Dragon, which is also the same location that Oppression drops in. So that's kind of why it kind of goes hand in hand. So a lot of the early game to mid game farming you're going to be doing is going to be doing while in the Dragons. So let's go ahead and go over what this one does. So the 2-piece set increases physical attack and magic attack by 15%, which is great. The 4-piece set, though, deals 25% extra damage to the target if it has a control effect. What this means is it's just an automatic 25% damage increase for each skill. So if your skill says it is a multiplier of 360%, it's going to add another 25%. Now, the best phantom really for Oppression, in my opinion, is Secret Dancer. Secret Dancer as well as Zeus. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people will pair Zeus and Secret Dancer together, because Zeus's A1 is going to do an A1 paralyze, and then Secret Dancer can proc her passive ability, which will make her just attack more and more and more. So this is an automatic boost to her attack each time she procs that. So that is why I would say, Oppression is very good on Secret Dancer. Now, it's not limited to just Secret Dancer, but you need to make sure that whatever formation you're using, they're going to be proccing some sort of CC or some sort of status effect change on the enemy phantoms, because if they're not, then the Oppression set really isn't doing you any good other than the 2-piece set of the physical attack and magic attack. All right, guys, so the next rune that we're going to kind of go over and talk about, this is another very highly sought after rune. At the end of the video, I'm going to throw up an infographic. It's going to kind of show you what the breakdown is on runes and where I place them as tiers that we're covering in the video today, so that we kind of have a decent idea of what runes to really be prioritizing and getting. But we're going to kind of go over the abilities right now, and then we'll get more into that here at the very end of the video. So the next rune is Spines. So as you can see here on the right hand side, the Spine runes, it has a 2-piece effect that is increased max HP by 25%. Now, some of you are going, okay, well, I mean, it's just HP boost. Well, there's phantoms that scale with HP, such as Lord of Shadows, Sea Conqueror. You want them to have HP, even Secret Dancer, right? Who's a good DPS. She scales with HP. So Spines have the highest boost for HP in a 2-piece set. That is why you really want to prioritize getting this set and really maxing out a few of them for your more HP scaling phantoms. Now, you will notice that if you get a 4-piece set, when damage is taken from an enemy, reflect back 20% of the damage. That is pretty decent, guys. I would not prioritize running 4 Spine runes on anybody. Now, one strategy you could use with this rune set, I have seen it used, it is very irritating and annoying, is King Arthur with his counterattack ability. I've seen people use Spines on him, so he also does an automatic reflect. So if he doesn't counterattack with his passive ability, essentially when he gets hit, he'll counterattack. The reflect 20% damage will automatically at least do some damage to the person who hit him. So that can be good, because if someone does too much damage, what happens is 20% of that will splash back. So if they're a DPS, they may be low health, and so they may one-shot themselves. Another one I've seen this on that's been very common and popular is Puppeteer, because she has sort of the same ability. So she already has a reflect damage, so it does stack. I have proved that out when I was using my own Puppeteer and doing with fellow guild members. So there is some benefit to having a 4 set of spines. Myself, I don't value it enough to really focus on using it for that strategy, but it is situational to what your strategy you feel like you want to take in the game and how you really want to implement it. The next one I want to go over is self-healing. So we just talked about spines, and the reason why I want to go with self-healing next is because self-healing is kind of like the alternative if you don't have 2 really good spine runes. And the reason being is because similar to spines, it has a two-piece set ability of HP increased by 15%. Now, it's not 25 like your spines is, so it's a little less. So that's why it's I would say it kind of takes a back seat to the spine runes. But what it does do also is if you want to put a 4-piece set on there and you're having problems with sustain in the game, you don't have a healer or you don't want to bring a healer into a fight, self-healing also does do a heals 10% of maximum HP of the wearer at the end of their turn. So what this means is okay, your phantom went, they attack, they're going to get 10% of their max HP back. So it does do, just like the name says, it self-heals. That is also very good if you are really struggling to clear content because you don't have a healer in your formation, or if you just don't want to bring a healer in your formation, this can be good. Once again, same thing as spines. I really wouldn't prioritize the 4-piece set, guys. I would keep it to a 2-piece set, get that 15% HP increase for your HP scaling phantoms, or even for your tankier phantoms that you really want to scale that HP with. All right, so as we're moving down the list, guys, we're getting close to the end of the list now. The next rune that we're going to be discussing is going to be the Headcracker rune. Now, this rune has plagued a lot of people in the arena, and I'm going to explain why. So we're going to ignore the 2-piece set right now because its accuracy and resistance really aren't playing a massive role in the game. 2-piece set is a waste. This is one, if you're going to use it, you have to, you don't have to. I'm telling you though, you should use all 4. Because when dealing damage to an enemy, 20% chance to stun the target for 1 turn. What this means is every time your phantom does damage, so if they have an ability that attacks up to 3 times, such as Haley, she has 3 chances for an AoE stun. Now, that is an amazing CC that the phantom doesn't even have to have on their kit, that you can just add it to them. So if you're struggling in the game and you're like, man, I don't know what to do, I need some CC, can't get through this, throw a 4-piece set of Headcracker. You don't even need to level it up. Make them go fast enough to get the first hit off. Hopefully they stun everyone. Most people use a Haley because she does have that 3-hit AoE. There are other AoE phantoms in the game that also benefit hugely from the Headcracker rune if you're going to go the CC route. When I say CC, I mean crowd control, just to be clear. So Headcracker, also a very good set. It's more of a beginner set, just to help you progress. When you get more towards the end game, it's more about your DPS and your tankiness than it is about what you can do for CC, because a lot of the end game phantoms actually can resist stuns. So it becomes kind of out of meta as you get to end game, but starting out and just kind of getting more of the basics of the game, it's an amazing rune to have. All right. The second to last rune we're going to kind of go over today, guys, is going to be the Battle Wound set. Now, this isn't a very common used rune as far as on your DPS phantoms go. There are a lot of strats out there right now, which is why I'm bringing this rune up, that really hinge off of the Battle Wound rune. The reason why is you will see it increases your physical and magic attack by 15%. This is okay. However, when you have a 4-piece set, when attacking an enemy, transforms 35% damage into HP. So it's essentially, it's similar to like a lifesteal ability. So you're going to attack, you're going to get HP back. Now, the reason why this can be very helpful is, for example, King Arthur has an amazing counterattack ability. So if someone comes and hits King Arthur, if you make him tanky enough to where he can take that 1 hit and he procs his counterattack, his counterattack multipliers are massive. So that extra 15% physical and magic attack, just boost that even just the slightest bit more. But when he attacks, he's going to get 35% of that damage back in HP. So if you make your King Arthur tanky enough to survive that first hit, he procs this, and you make him do enough DPS to really one-shot the Phantom, then he's going to get all that HP back, and he's going to be fully healed. That's why I want to talk about this rune, because that is a strategy that works very, very well. I've seen people do Ghost Vault hard two-man formations with just King Arthur and a Zoe or an Icarus, someone else who does a lot of DPS. So that's why I want to talk about the battle rune and kind of make you aware that it is a very viable rune. All right, last but not least, guys, this is going to be the last rune that we're going to kind of discuss today as far as what the top tier runes are in the game, and that's going to be the Fiery rune. This is another new rune. I got this because I was fairly high in the arena leaderboards. These runes are going to be super hard to get because you have to get them via either tournaments or via the arena. So they're going to be hard to get. So that's kind of why I'm going to talk about it last, because it's not the most viable for a lot of new players. It's also not viable for, well, a good majority of players, unless you're really cranking out the deeps and you're going for those tournaments and trying to finish everything. So it is a very good rune. It's just not more realistic for most players to get. So let's go ahead and cover what it does. So it does increase max HP by 10%, okay, which is great for your HP scaling. Increase speed by 5%. Once again, this is 5% of the Phantom's base speed. So also perfect rune set for, say, a Sea Conqueror who scales off HP for attack, as well as needs speed. So 4 set of Harvest. You know, you could lose the 2 set of Spine, Self-Healing, and put this on and make it go a little bit faster. That would be probably the most optimal set for Sea Conqueror. But also the 4-piece set of Fiery is also pretty decent, guys. So at the end of turn, a shield is granted and that can resist 1 control effect for 1 turn. So what this means is it's like a block debuff, essentially, that's been thrown up on your Phantom. So if they're attacked by someone who is a guaranteed stun or guaranteed paralyzed like Zeus, after they take a turn, they're going to have this ability up, so they will not get paralyzed, they will not get stunned. It's kind of like an almost like an immunity set, but as you can see here, it says it can resist 1 control effect for 1 turn. So that means if, you know, you get attacked once by someone who can do a paralyze, and then another Phantom goes on the other squad and they have another control effect ability, well, you've lost that shield at that point because you've already blocked one debuff. So you kind of got to be very, very aware and kind of speed tune a little bit to make this really worthwhile. But either way you look at it, guys, it's also a very, very good rune. It's just going to be very hard to acquire. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So like I was saying before, guys, this is kind of going to conclude my thought on the most top common runes in the game right now. As you can see here, I do have my graphic shown on the right-hand side up here in the corner. This is how I'm going to prioritize the runes in the game. They are listed 1 through number 9, moving up and down on the left-hand column. So you'll see that number 1 is Squall, number 2 is Frost, 3 Harvest, 4 Spine, 5 Oppression, 6 Headcracker, 7 Self-Healing, 8 Battle Wound, and number 9, I'm sorry, is going to have to be Fiery. Like I said, guys, I kind of explained a little bit what each rune does. Kind of mentioned a few different Phantoms that would use said runes. But then again, this guy's just going to go totally on your playstyle in itself. But this is my personal thoughts and beliefs on what is the best and most common runes in the game. This is pretty much meta at the moment. Now that is recording as of 5/31/2021. If you're watching this video in the future, you know, metas change. But yeah, as for right now, guys, this is where I'm gonna kind of leave you with my thoughts and opinions and the tier list as far as what the best runes in the game at the current moment is. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below if you have different opinions or if you agree. Any feedback is always very much appreciated, guys. And until next time, peace.